supporting characters like
Swoop.
Swoop, Bob, and Selkirk. Like those guys, you genuinely, I don't know, I genuinely like. I wish they had more screen time because I was interested in them.
You sent me a text message last night saying, I love Swoop. You're like, Swoop is amazing.
Swoop is my shiznit. Swoop is awesome, played by Kyle Secor.
I love it.
Maybe greatest sidekick of all time.
When we first meet him, he's pretending to be a window washer, then he just falls off a thing randomly. Oh, that makes me so happy. And so it's gotta be Drop Zone, right? We're gonna give it to Drop Zone, best sidekicks.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, and also I guess I don't know if Yancey Butler is a sidekick in this one, but she's a badass in this movie. I like her a lot. And did you know this role was originally written for Steven Seagal, and Steven Seagal dropped it. And then the role of Jesse Crossman, played by Yancey Butler, was a man. But then they cast Yancey instead, and she had them keep the punching moment where Wesley Snipes knocks her out.
I didn't know that. I knew about Seagal, which, man, this would have wildly changed this movie. I mean, the last time I think of Steven Seagal actually jumping out of an airplane was Executive Decision, and that didn't go so well.
Yeah, that ended poorly. And he wanted to live on that, too.
Yeah, I can't imagine him doing any better than Drop Zone. This may have been like a 5-minute movie.
What'd you think about Butler in this movie? She's like, I actually believe, so you watch some of these movies and sometimes you just don't believe characters, but I believe Yancey Butler was a skydiving kind of badass.
No, I think so too. She brings a sense of, wiseassery to it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's more or less the Ditch Brody of Drop Zone. Like, she's a rebel and she's crazy. Like, she's got empathy. She cares for her friends, but she's also, she's wild and unpredictable, and she's a sarcastic, wise ass. I love it.
Since this would be too practical for our list, we don't have like a best hero. But who do you like better, Pete Nessep or Richard Ditch Brody? And what I do like about both of them, sorry to interrupt, I like that they both have moments where they just look dumb. Wesley Snipes fails at skydiving and he just looks goofy. And this is a dude who's an absolute badass. He was in Demolition Man. I mean, some big films before this, and he wasn't afraid to look sort of silly. And he got beat up a couple times in this. Like, he wasn't an all-out tough guy. And then Charlie Sheen is just playing the dummy, which I love. So I like that both actors kind of went there. But who's your favorite hero in this?
Swoop. No, I think my favorite hero is probably, out of the two, it's probably Ditch Brody. I think I relate to his humor more, and I love his one-liners.
Oh yeah.
Zingy, dry humor.
All right, so you want to do that? Best one-liners? Since that's one of our categories?
Yeah, so I ended up, so for better sidekicks, then I went with Drop Zone on that one.
Yep, so it's tied up now, man. 3-3. Oh, this is a battle. Oh, wait, what about the really cool guy in Drop Zone with the rocket launcher? Is he a sidekick?
He's pretty cool. The random surplus dude
who just walks out with a rocket launcher.
What's going on out here? And then he runs back in and grabs his rocket launcher.
And then he stands in one place.
Blows up Charlie Sheen's car and then just laughs and gets riddled with bullets. I mean, such a terrible idea. Oh, that's cool, though.
I love rocket launchers in this. But all right, so we have best one-liners. And can I tell you my favorite one-liner of this entire film? Of all the films together. So Charlie Sheen he finally gets with Natasha Kinski, and he realizes he's kind of a dummy and they've been using him. And he goes up to her and he goes, "Okay, so you fooled a guy who can't get his sideburns even when he shaves."
Dude, that's tough. Just the fact that, a former Olympian is willing to admit that he can't get his sideburns straight. That's about as humble as you need to get.
And then later on, when he's like, "There's a safe," and she's like, "Safes are only for idiots." And then later on, he looks at a lady and he's like, "You want to slam?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And then there's a line where she says, "I was trained to swallow a lot of things." He's like, "I may have to marry you." And then there's the whole, is this a nuclear thing?
That line.
Yeah.
I can't believe that line is even in the trailer for it.
I was trained to swallow.
You swallowed the worm. I was trained to swallow a lot of things. Oh, dear Lordy.
It's insane,
Why'd that
isn't
make it in the trailer?
And then she says there's nuclear power in there, and she gives him a cup, and then he calls it something really weird later that I forget what he said. But I mean, it's just. And then remember they're running in the desert, and he's like, "I'm gonna take a nap." Like, he doesn't want to run, and then she's like, "We're running." He's like, "I haven't stretched."
They're in the shootout. And he pulls out the gun. And he's like, "My gun is broken." And then she goes, "The safety's on." He's like, "Oh right," and then he accidentally fires it point blank right into the dirt in front of him. Or they're in the argument in that random little coffee shop, and she starts tearing into him, and he's like, "Pack the bags, we're going on a guilt trip."
Yeah.
Like, I love it. They're so good.
Like,
So 90s, so good.
and all the people in the diner look at him like he's the jerk, which I love. All right,
That's the type of Charlie Sheen, dry sarcastic humor that I have always enjoyed, and I can't see. Obviously, this Terminal Velocity wins this category for me, but I can't see this movie working on any sort of other level without Charlie Sheen.
He gets it. He gets what's going on. Because that character has to be the dummy. He can't be the super suave guy. Does that make, like, he can't. He just has to be an idiot who's good at what he does, I guess. And he's a gymnast, and he didn't get so good. Charlie Sheen is a gymnast. It makes me so happy. But I do love, there's a scene in Drop Zone after Wesley Snipes' first major jump, when Wesley's just like, "All right, yeah." When he's just so happy, he sells that moment. He's
happy that he lived through it, yeah.
He sells that moment really well, because he's the straight guy in this movie. So in Terminal Velocity, Natasha Kinski's the straight guy. So Wesley never has a chance to be kooky. But I do love how happy he is after the first jump. He really dug that. That was good. All right. So right now we have a 5-3 lead for Terminal Velocity. I guess we should move into cooler title. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So Terminal Velocity or Drop Zone. Both are referenced many times in these films. But which one would you pick? Terminal Velocity or Drop Zone?
Man, this one was tough for me. I think I use Drop Zone more. I don't know how I could say in everyday talk, but like getting into the groove of something, like, "Oh man, I'm going to get in the Drop Zone." Like, I love being able to randomly reference this movie whenever I can, but just actually knowing what Terminal Velocity even is in the first place outside of the movie scope, it's just a very cool term to me. So I think it's got to be Terminal Velocity for the cool.
Oh wow! So you're going Terminal Velocity for the coolness?
Yeah, just for the title, for how, yeah. I love it.
I'm gonna go Drop Zone because it's so literal. This whole movie is about landing in Drop Zone, which I kind of love. And you remember that article? They built drop zones in Florida, and they paid a ton of money and got lawyer fees to build their own private drop zones. That was crazy on what they went through in Florida. They talked about, didn't they say something about floor crazy? Or something like that, and how many jumps they were doing in the air and how gnarly Florida was to shoot?
Oh, yeah. Painting seashells to get a different background for things. I mean, they went nuts on that movie.
Yeah. And I'm from Florida, so I can make fun of it. But I just like, we got to get to that drop zone. Hey, the drop zone was in a 3-mile radius. There's the drop zone. We got to hit the drop zone. Where's the drop zone? So it's one of the movies that features the word. I love when a movie says the word. It says the title a lot. Does that make sense? Like, Hot Tub Time Machine. It's like a hot tub time machine. I just love hearing Drop Zone.
I'm actually saying the name of the movie. Yeah, I don't know if Terminal Velocity even mentions the title anywhere in the movie.
Because, when they're on the plane, remember? And then he's like, "You hit Terminal Velocity." And she's like, "What's that?" He's like, "Swish."
Very early on in the movie then.
Yeah, because they just used that in the beginning. She was really quick throwing. Oh, no, the guy threw the body out, and then she just dove. And then that was a really intricate stunt that they pulled out to fool Charlie Sheen. Oh, man. And the Russians.
It was.
Oh, man. And that poor fish tank. All right, so right now we have Terminal Velocity, let's see, with a 6-4 lead. Oh, wow. So we've covered best jump, best sidekicks. We've covered 5 categories. So how about this? Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll find the winner of this contest. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And this isn't part of the category, Tom, but both of these movies had some pretty sick guitar licks in their scores. I love mid-90s, when they're kind of depressed and the sun setting, and it sounds like a really kind of jazzy guitar lick playing in the background.
or during an act, or just an action scene or a random moment, the guitar just screams to life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nothing says parachuting like a guitar lick, I would say. What do you think?
No, I think that's good on that cue. Do you want to tackle best credit song musical score?
Yeah, let's do it. So what's your favorite?
I think I've got to go with Drop Zone on this, but Joel McNeely, who did the score for Terminal Velocity, it is a highly underrated score. Like, I don't think anyone would ever watch Terminal Velocity or think about it and go, that had a pretty good score to it. But just on a general listen by itself, I mean, it's catchy. It's got the big brass, the big horns, and then it's got those crazy guitar licks that are in it as well. But man, Drop Zone's done by Hans Zimmer, and he's probably my favorite composer of all time. And Hans Zimmer bows to no man. No. And the fact that Drop Zone also threw in some NXS there at the very end wins it for me.
I mean, like Drop Zone got Hans Zimmer. Doesn't that make you happy?
I don't, man, and that's a tough get to get Hans Zimmer. I guess this was still early in Zimmer's career, but I mean, this was just before he got. I mean, he was known, but he wasn't a monster at that point yet.
No, but I was actually, just real quick before I forget, I was looking at the tomato meter scores for these movies, and Drop Zone has a 41%, Terminal Velocity has a 20%, but both Terminal Velocity has a 5.5 IMDb, and Drop Zone has a 5.6. Do you think that's about right for these movies? Do you think one should be higher, one should be lower? What do you think?
Man, it all depends. It's such a subjective viewpoint to it. Personally, I think they're both at should be like an 8.0 and a 9.0 on the IMDb user ratings. I think it just depends on how much you can suspend your belief for 90 minutes and just enjoy it.
I think with Drop Zone, it's just a good, straightforward action movie. There's nothing bad. It makes sense. It moves quick. It has fun. So, I mean, I think it should be at least like a 64. And then Terminal Velocity, everyone's like, it's big and dumb and stupid, but it's fun. This is a fun movie to watch. I mean, it's a cheeky blast. So, I mean, if I had to review it, I'd probably give it like a B+, and just talk about how stupid Charlie Sheen's character is.
Well, I think they both got bad raps too. I mean, they came out there in '94, right on the tail of some really good action movies the previous years before that. I mean, primarily like Speed, which came out June or July, just a couple months before. So it's like you're then comparing that to Speed and Point Break and a few others, and it's a tough comparison. I mean, if you didn't have that comparison level, I think these probably would be perceived a little bit differently nowadays.
And everyone was comparing these movies together, and I think like, the two stupid skydiving movies. But you know what's crazy about Drop Zone? The director's John Badham, and he directed like Bird on a Wire, Stakeout, Short Circuit. He did Point of No Return. He did War Games and Saturday Night Fever. Like, dude was a legit director. And then, did you know that David Twohy wrote Terminal Velocity? He went on to direct like Pitch Black and Perfect Getaway.
Did the whole Chronicles or the whole Riddick series, yeah.
And then that Darren Scarafin, he did Death Warrant before this, but since then he moved on to like House and CSI New York, like big moneymaker stuff. So there was talent on both sides of these cameras, or both sides of the camera, yeah.
And the second unit director for Drop Zone was DJ Caruso.
Really? Oh, he went on to do Disturbia and stuff.
Yeah, and Eagle Eye.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really talented people, as you said, that were involved with these movies.
Jeez Louise. But the score, we're going to give it to Drop Zone, correct? Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, I am.
All right, yeah, I'm doing Drop Zone as well. You can't beat the Hans. And NXS songs played twice. I love it when movies get their money's worth in songs. Like Dazed and Confused and Slow Ride by Foghat, they play it like 8 times.
Oh yeah, if you're going to have to pay out that band, you pay them out big time. Use that song.
Just play it over and over and over. All right, I love that. All right, so we got best score, best score, best credit song. Now, which one is the most 90s? Which movie, when you watch, is what movie is a time capsule of the 90s better? Terminal Velocity or Drop Zone?
This one was tough for me. I battled back and forth on it. I kind of had to break it into categories. Like, I think Terminal Velocity dialogue is more 90s. Like those catchy, zinging